Good morning, Year 10. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. For your do now, I'd like you to write down 3 quotations from I Wouldn't Thank You for a Valentine from memory. For at least one of these quotations, do a quotation explosion to explore language and structure devices. Please could you write the date and the title, In Paris with You, Fenton. For this lesson, you'll need a printout of the poem that you can annotate, a pencil for first thoughts and ideas, and different coloured pens or highlighters. So, In Paris with You, what can we work out from the title? What associations do you have with Paris? And what do you expect this poem to be about? So I think that Alex will especially enjoy this. I remember one of the first tri-weeklies, he wrote me an amazing, I think it was functional writing piece, trying to sell Paris, and he did a fantastic job. So I think Alex will like this poem. Okay, so pause the video now to jot down some answers to these questions. So, associations with Paris. We've got City of Romance, Culture, Eiffel Tower, Champs-Élysées, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Notre Dame. In terms of what the poem might be about, potentially romance or a loving relationship. So let's go through with the first reading. Don't talk to me of love, I've had an earful, and I get tearful when I've downed a drink or two. I'm one of your talking wounded, I'm a hostage, I'm marooned, but I am in Paris with you. Yes, I'm angry at the way I've been bamboozled, and resentful at the mess I've been through. I admit I'm on the rebound, and I don't care where we are bound. I'm in Paris with you. Do you mind if we do not go to the Louvre? If we say sod off to sodding Notre Dame? If we skip the Champs-Élysées and remain here in this sleazy old hotel room, doing this and that, to what and whom, learning who you are, learning what I am? Don't talk to me of love. Let's talk of Paris, the little bit of Paris in our view. There's that crack across the ceiling, and the hotel walls are peeling, and I'm in Paris with you. Don't talk to me of love. Let's talk of Paris. I'm in Paris with the slightest thing you do. I'm in Paris with your eyes, your mouth. I'm in Paris with all points south. Am I embarrassing you? I'm in Paris with you. Give yourself time to read over the poem a couple of times, get into grips with its content. It's okay not to understand every word or idea at this point, you're just trying to get a feel for it. Jot down some answers in response to these questions. What is the mood of the poem? Who's speaking? Who are they speaking to? And how do they feel? Pause the video now to do this. Okay, so first reading, speaker. In Paris with You is told in the first person. The speaker is addressing both a past lover, who has bamboozled them, and the rebound lover, who they are now in Paris with. The use of pronouns can create ambiguity as to who exactly is being addressed. The narrator doesn't want to talk about the ending of the relationship, or even visit galleries or landmarks. They just want to enjoy the moment, rather than thinking of the future or the past. Now you understand the speaker's situation and the tone, read through it again to make your own annotations in pencil. What can you pick out about how those feelings are presented? What devices does Fenton use to convey his feelings? On the second reading, don't forget to comment on form and structure as well as language. Is there a regular rhyme scheme and meter? What are the topics of each stanza? And consider punctuation choices. Pause the video to do this now. This time, I'm going to take you through the poem, mentioning key details you could annotate. On the third reading, you can add to your copy of the poem in pen, confirming your own pencil ideas and adding more to it too. So, form and structure. The majority of the stanzas follow an A-B-C-C-B rhyme scheme. However, as well as not being regular, some of the rhymes are forced. For example, wounded and marooned, which could suggest that he is trying hard to form a new relationship, even though the speaker has been hurt in the past. The opening line of the poem, twice repeated, sets an emphatically negative tone. However, the internal rhyme of earful and tearful, despite the words signalling the speaker's self-pity, immediately alleviates a sense of anger. The first stanza ends, but I'm in Paris with you. The first lover certainly remains a presence, though the conjunction indicates the speaker is attempting to move on physically, if not mentally. In the last stanza, the repetition of "I'm in Paris" is intended to reinforce the speaker's present situation. However, the use of repetition could be interpreted as thoughtful rumination or a forceful insistence designed to trick them into believing that they've left the ex-lover behind, or it could be suggested the speaker is trying to protect themselves from falling in love again. So, don't talk to me of love. The opening line immediately forces the reader to abandon any preconceptions of love or romance. A severe tone is created. You've also got the use of the imperative there because they are making a command. So again, linking back to this forceful tone. You've got colloquial language here, informal language, which shows the speaker has experienced conflict. It sounds almost comical, in contrast to tearful, which suggests emotional pain. You've got plosive alliteration. So remember, plosives are words which begin with b or d sounds. This suggests the speaker has dealt with the relationship breakdown in a self-destructive manner through drinking a lot. We've got wordplay here. Talking wounded instead of walking wounded emphasizes the pain caused by words. Also indicates that they are talking to us, potentially as a way of getting over their wounds, or maybe trying to move forward from their wounds. So we've got the metaphor hostage, suggesting the speaker is trapped in a helpless situation. You've got self-realization here, that the speaker may be putting themselves at risk of heartbreak again, repeated throughout. The second stanza shows the speaker considering their feelings, potentially rationalizing their feelings. Bamboozled is the unusually comic language for the situation he's in, suggesting confusion. So if you bamboozle someone, you trick them. So you've got further wordplay here. Rebound and rebound, suggesting or indicating that the speaker's anger is dissipating, so going away. And then you've got repetition of the final line, omitting the but presents a movement towards acceptance. So the Louvre, Notre Dame, and Champs-Élysées represent a conventional representation of Paris, conveying a reluctance of the speaker to accept traditional and stereotypical relationships. It could also be implied that these landmarks are associated with the previous relationship and the last time that he went to Paris. So they want to move away from that past relationship and everything that they did with that past person and kind of come into the present. So you've got colloquial language used here to show the speaker's scorn for romantic sights. This perhaps indicates its need to protect themselves from future heartbreak whilst trying to maintain a casual tone, emphasised using sibilants, sod, sodding, skip, and sleazy. You've got enjambment into the fourth stanza, so nothing to break up those two stanzas, no punctuation. And this emphasises the contrast of stereotypical romantic Paris with that of a sleazy old hotel room, perhaps suggesting the speaker's new relationship is a physical one rather than a sentimental one. Or potentially it's because they want to do whatever they can to differentiate between the two, or potentially distract themselves from the memories of what happened the last time they were in Paris with the other person. The repetition of learning changes the tone. It suggests the relationship is becoming more intimate. The speaker is willing to discover new things about their partner. So Paris becomes a metaphor for their blossoming relationship. A little bit of Paris in our view perhaps indicates the speaker is capable of love again. The repetition of the imperative don't offers a reminder the speaker does not want to label the relationship. The repetition of I'm in Paris with perhaps is a metaphor for their growing closeness. You've got a sexual innuendo playing with the image of travelling, perhaps a contrast to the expectation about comments about physical beauty. Again, the speaker does not meet expectations. And the poem ends with a potential resolution. Perhaps the speaker has decided to pursue the relationship, although it is unclear if they are happy. However, I think it indicates as they go through the poem, so in terms of map and structure, at the beginning they're very caught up with the old relationship and how it went wrong. And then I think as the poem goes on, they kind of almost force themselves to get back into the present, and this very difficult and this very difficult past is put in the past, and they come back into the present where they are with this person they're learning more about, and they're just being with in this hotel room. So I think they're happy at the end, or happier, but it's arguable that this is just a rebound person they're having sex with in this sleazy hotel room to get over their true love. So you can see it either way, as or maybe the person started as a rebound, but then as they learnt more about them, then maybe it became something resembling a true relationship. So it depends how you interpret it. So, as well as annotating each poem, we're going to capture key ideas in our exercise books. Remember, you need to record what's significant to you. Make sure your notes include reference to the speaker and their feelings or perspective, at least 3 quotations, literary terminology, points about language and structure, and consideration of key themes. Pause the video to make extra notes now. And finally, in Paris with You, personal reflection. This is a potentially more difficult one to reflect on, I think, for you, or for a lot of people actually, because it is a more specific situation. So a relationship that has gone really wrong, revisiting places where you used to go with that person with a new person, potentially a rebound person, but then potentially growing closer to them through that experience. So how do you feel towards the speaker of the poem? And do you think the poem is relatable? So to give you my thoughts, I'm pleased for the speaker that, firstly I pity them, or I feel sorry for them, that they had to go through such a negative relationship, that they were bamboozled or tricked by the original person, and that relationship tainted memories of Paris for them. However, I'm also feeling pleased for the speaker that they were able to move on, and I'm hopeful that the relationship they're having isn't just a rebound, or if it is, then a rebound that will pave the way for future healthy relationships, but ideally not a rebound at all, but the start of a meaningful relationship. So that's my hopes for the speaker. In terms of is the poem relatable, I imagine it would be relatable to some people. It's not relatable to me because I've never been in a similar situation. And I find it actually quite difficult to imagine that kind of situation, but I imagine it would be relatable to some people, but not in the same way as poems like Long Distance 2, which is relatable to everyone. Okay, so please spend the last 5 minutes making sure you know the quotations you've chosen really well, using any of the methods on this slide. So pause the video for 5 minutes to do that now. Okay, so that's the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for your hard work. I hope you found today's lesson enjoyable and interesting, and there's only 2 poems left. So the next poem we do is one of my all-time favourite poems, so something to look forward to next, either Wednesday or Thursday. So thank you very much, have a wonderful weekend, and I will speak to you again next week.